Welcome to another episode of Real Estate, Real Life, Real Talk, and Real Live with your host, me, Damon the Agent. Today is Friday, January the 5th, 2024. Happy New Year, everyone. We made it. Everyone who sees this, we made it because so many people last year did not make it, unfortunately. So, as always, I always begin my show talking about the latest world of real estate. So today I'm going to talk about today's foreclosure. And the reason why I'm going to talk about today's foreclosure is because so many people have a misconception about foreclosures. People automatically think foreclosures automatically mean cheap homes. And in a way it does, but in a way it doesn't. It means cheaper homes in that area than the other homes that are being sold. And I like to elaborate on that, meaning basically, whenever you hear about a foreclosed property, in many cases, the foreclosed properties are going to require work because, unfortunately, in many cases, someone lost their home and lost that home. And in some cases, people purposely damage the homes that they lost. And people always say, oh, why do they damage it and stuff like that? Because people become emotionally attached to their homes especially after living in it for so long, and also for investing money into that home over a period of time. So some people tend to say to themselves they don't want someone else to just inherit it or get their home after all the work and money that they poured into it, only for someone else to benefit. So they're angry, they're hurt, they're disappointed, and they don't want someone to actually get that property. I actually went into a foreclosed home, and the tub that was upstairs was actually in the living room. So I don't know how they did that, but they were very angry. And I just go to say that when you're talking about foreclosed property, we're not talking about like the year 2000 where you might have got a foreclosed property for 70,000, fixed it up, and it was worth 120,000 after you did all that. Today, you have $1 million homes that actually go into foreclosure. And because of that, what you have to take into consideration is if $1 million home, let's say a house is priced at $1 million and it goes into foreclosure, the bank is not going to sell it at 200,000 or something like that. What the banks tend to do is, because the banks, you have to understand, are in control of all these foreclosed properties. So they're trying to recuperate as much money as they possibly can. So if a house that's $1 million goes into foreclosure, and let's say that in that particular area, houses are selling for an average of 800,000, the bank may put that foreclosed property on the market for 700,000 or maybe even 750, because they know that basically they can recuperate a lot of that equity that's in their home. So they're not going to practically giving it away by selling it for a substantially low price, such as around 100, 200,000, when they know they can recoup an extra 500,000 off that particular home. So when you're looking at foreclosed properties, what you have to understand that depending on that zip code that you're looking at these foreclosed properties is going to determine most likely what the foreclosed property is going to cost. And in most cases, the foreclosed homes are going to be roughly 80% of whatever that zip code home value is. So if you have a home that's worth $1 million, like I just mentioned, and it went into foreclose, the banks may sell it for 800,000 because they're trying to get as much as they possibly can. And even though in some cases they know they may not get the 800,000, they'll say, "Oh, we'll at least get 750." So they still recoup a lot of their loss, even though they get a lot of their monies back because of the insurance that they have on the homes that they actually, when you first purchase a home and you have to get mortgage insurance and all these other things, the banks get their money, but they're trying to get it on the front end and the back end. So when you're looking at foreclosed properties, always keep into consideration that foreclosure means cheaper in that zip code. It doesn't mean that, oh, I'm gonna get a house for 100,000, I'm gonna get a house for 200,000 because it's a foreclosed property. Like I said, $1 million homes going to foreclosure. So because these houses go into foreclosure, they're going to sell for substantially less than the other homes in that particular area, but they're not going to be to the point of you knowing what foreclosures used to be like in 2000. People have a misconception of that, thinking that all foreclosed properties are cheap. I actually sent the client some foreclosed homes this week, and she said, for these prices, I can buy a brand new home. But I also explained to her the same thing that I'm explaining to you, that foreclosures does not necessarily mean oh, they're going to sell for 100,000, they're going to sell for 200,000. It depends on the zip code, depends on where you're purchasing these foreclosed properties at, and you have to roughly look at about 70 to 80% of what the banks are trying to get. So if a house, again, and I like to use $1,000,000 as a standard number because it makes it simpler when it pertains to mathematics. If a house is worth $1,000,000 and it foreclosed, the bank may sell it for 800,000. Now, 800,000 is still a lot for a lot of people who may not be able to afford. But in that particular zip code, 800,000 is substantially cheap. So let's say, for example, in this area, we're in the DMV. Let's say a house in Potomac, Maryland. There are a lot of $1,000,000 homes in Potomac, Maryland, and in McLean, Virginia. So let's say the house in McLean, Virginia was purchased at $2 million, and then it went into foreclosure. Now the house may be on the market for 1.3 million. Even though it sold for 2 million, it's 1.3, but the other homes in that area may be selling for 1.9, 1.8. So even though it's at 1.3, that's substantially lower than those other homes. So a lot of times the only other thing is the condition of the homes, what's going on the inside of the homes, that's going to basically determine, if the person is going to purchase it, because sometimes people are looking at how much they're going to have to invest in the home as far as fixing it up. Some people go look at homes, say, oh, we just have to put 100,000. We got to put 200, or some people may say we got to put too much. And if it's a good house that doesn't have that much damage on the inside, because maybe when the foreclosure, the homeowners then just walked away, that's going to go quick. And even though, like I said, that was worth 1.3 million, it depends on the area. So that was in McLean, Virginia. And if it's in the area where there are other houses that are selling for close to 2 million or more, someone's going to buy it. But because it's a foreclosure, it's relatively cheap. So foreclosure means cheaper homes in that particular zip code. So I want people to focus more on the cheaper homes, not just automatically cheap homes. Because just because a house is foreclosed does not mean that it's cheap. It's just cheaper in that zip code than the other homes that are selling because of the fact it's a foreclosure. So I really want people to just understand that conception, because that's today's foreclosure in 2024. In 2000, foreclosures were relatively cheap. People bought them all the time. Things have changed over the years. There have been so many investors. There have been so many people buying up properties, doing things, flipping them. So things are not as cheap as they once were. As you all know, the economy has changed since COVID hit. Inflation has gone up, gas has gone up, food has gone up. Everything has gone up except people's salaries. So when it pertains to foreclosed properties, keep that in mind, that foreclosure means cheaper in that zip code. Does not necessarily mean cheap. And if you'll get that conception, you'll understand that when you're looking at foreclosed properties, the prices are going to vary depending on the zip code, depending on the area. It doesn't mean that just because it's a foreclosed property, there's going to be cheap. You can get foreclosed properties in all of the top neighborhoods, and you will definitely see that the prices of some of these foreclosed properties cost more than the price of some newer homes or selling homes in other areas. And that is because it's all based off zip code. So I just want people to have that understanding so there's no misconception about the foreclosed properties. And then if you definitely can get a clear understanding of that, you'll understand that when it pertains to financing these foreclosed properties, that you'll know which product to go with. Because even with foreclosed properties, I've had people who basically ask me when I say, well, how are you going to finance it? They'll say, well, oh, don't you have programs, first-time home buyer programs? And I explain to people, when you're purchasing a foreclosed properties, in most cases for your first home, depending on how you're financing it, the programs are not set up for foreclosed properties. They're set up for resale properties in most cases. But you always have to speak with your lender on that, because the lending guidelines change. They change like every three to 6 months, just like the market changes every 3 to 6 months. So right now we're in January. What the market was in July of 2023 is totally different what it is right now in January 2024. And that also pertains to the lending guidelines. So always speak to a reputable lender when it pertains to that, or you can always reach out to me and I can always refer you to one. So I just wanted to elaborate on that. My next segment is Q&A, questions and answers. If you have any questions, please feel free to send them and post them, and I will address any of your real estate questions. I'll be right back. Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm looking for questions right now when it pertains to real estate. Okay. Mm-mm. Okay. My first question pertaining to real estate has to do with reverse mortgages. This person says, okay, this person basically saying, are there any reverse mortgage companies that lend to people under 62? The answer to that is no. When it pertains to Okay. When it pertains to reverse mortgages, in most cases you have to be 62 years or older. So I don't know what's going on. It sounds like maybe you need to refinance, or maybe you're trying to get some extra cash. So that's going to depend on how much equity is in your home. So if you have any equity in your home, meaning if you had your home for over 2 years, most likely you have equity in your home. It's always good to speak to a lender. You have two options. You can either refinance or you could do a HELOC. A HELOC is a home equity line of credit in which you can pull money from the equity. It just goes on your property as a second lien, and you're not actually doing the refinancing. Like I previously mentioned, when you refinance, you reset your mortgage loan over, meaning you're starting it, resetting it to 30 years again. And also you have to pay closing costs. So it's always good, again, to speak to a reputable lender when it pertains to your refinancing or HELOC. And they can also address you when it pertains to a reverse mortgage. But the minimum age is 62 when it pertains to getting a reverse mortgage. So no lender is going to lend to you unless you refinance and you tend to have a co-borrower on there. Okay, I got another question right here. Question 2. If two people are looking to buy a home, one person previously owned a home, the other will be a first-time homeowner. Could a person who never owned a home get into a first-time homeowner program? That's a great question. I'm going to read it again. If two people are looking to buy a home, one person previously owned a home, the other person will be a first-time homeowner. Could a person who never owned a home get into a first-time home buyer program? That's a great question. Okay, first of all, depending on where you buy the property at in the state of Maryland, if you haven't owned a home, I believe it's 3 or 4 years, you will still be considered a first-time home buyer. So you can get into a home buying program for that person who previously owned a home. If they owned a home in less than 3 years and you two are trying to buy together, because of the person, they don't get the first time home buyer credit. Now, again, and I keep referring this over to the lenders. Lenders know the latest guidelines because they change so rapidly. Like I mentioned, every 3 to 6 months, it will always be best to speak to them in reference to that. I can refer you to a lender if you need one. But again, if you haven't owned a home in over 3 years in the state of Maryland, you are considered a first-time home buyer again. Now, if you have owned it in less than 3 years, you are not considered a first-time home buyer. But when you with the other person, they're not going to get any first-time home buyer credit because of the fact you are buying together if you're on the loan. Now, one way to do it is the person, and I don't know the situation when it pertains to the finances, but if the one person who has not owned a home previously can get finance for the price of the loan that they want or need a loan, and then they can add the second person onto the deed later on, that is also an option. If the person alone can get approved for a home loan up to whatever price point you're looking to buy. Let's say hypothetically you're looking to buy a home for 400,000. I'm just using this as an example, and you alone can get approved for 400,000. Then that other person can be added on later if you're trying to reap the benefit and the questions. But I will also strongly recommend just also talking to a lender to see what programs you all may qualify for, because the new year has begun. In every fiscal year, the programs reset in most cases to where they're fully funded and they have more than enough to supply people when they're becoming first-time home buyers. So it's always best to jump on this right away, because by the time the summertime comes, the money is being depleted. So a lot of times, depending on the demand, the funds run out in the summertime. Anywhere between June and August, the funds will run out, depending on the areas also. So it's great to speak to a lender right now just to see what programs you do qualify. But just like I'm asking these questions too, the lenders are going to have other questions like how long the person previously owned a home, where you're looking to buy a home. Then they're going to look at both of your income, and then they can see they might give you that same option that I just mentioned as well. So that's a great question, and I'm glad that you asked that question. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me see what other question I have. Okay, over here, someone said no question, but they did their vision board last night. That's great. That's great. Um, I talked about vision boards last week going into the new year, which is good. Now, when I speak on my next topic, y'all gonna have to excuse me a little bit because I might step out of my professional elements to address a few things. But let me see if I have time for one more question. Okay, hold on. One more question. Okay, this question says, I am a 1099 employee. I have perfect credit, but I've written off all of my income. What should I do to get approved for a home loan? I am a 1099 employee. I have perfect credit, but I have written off all of my income. What should I do to get approved? Now, like I previously mentioned, the lending guidelines have changed. We're in 2024. If this was 2004, there was a thing called stated income. All you had to do, they'll run your credit. You have good credit. They'll just go by whatever income you stated. That's why it was called stated income. And then you tell them how much you made, you got approved for a home loan. Today in 2024, they've changed a lot of lending guidelines because unfortunately back then, a lot of people, houses were going into foreclosure. People were letting the house go on purpose because they'll get one home, two home, three home. And then when they get the home of their dreams, they'll let the other ones go. And they realize because of the way of doing the no docs and just stated income, that tend to hurt a lot of, the industry. So what a person can do today, my recommendation would be to create a payroll system for yourself, normally ADP or paycheck. If you're a 1099 employee, have an LLC. With your LLC, what you tend to do is when you get paid, have your money go to your LLC, pay yourself from the payroll. Once you pay yourself from the payroll, you'll become a W-2 employee. Do that for 2 years. Once you do that, they'll take out the taxes. It'll have your amount that you earn annually, and then you'll be able to get approved. Unfortunately, a lot of lenders, and not saying all, but a lot of lenders don't approve 1099 employees because of the fact they do write off everything. So you have to set your business up like a business and then pay yourself from your business. And once you start to do that and you get those W-2s and everything, you'll become a W-2 employee and then you'll be able to get approved. Now, I do have one lender who does deal with 1099 employees. If you want that person's information, please inbox me or send me a message and I would definitely send you his information. Besides that, when it pertains to getting approved, it's just harder because you write off everything. And like I once time mentioned before, that when you write off everything, even though you earn 200,000, if you write off 200,000 in the lender's eyes, you earn zero. Because even though you're writing off things, people write off things because of tax purposes. So one of the things that they changed with the guidelines is Uncle Sam, which is the U.S. government, needs to make sure that they get paid. So they want to make sure they get paid. So they're not going to allow you to reap the benefit of home ownership and you're not even paying taxes to them. So that's one of the guidelines that have changed over the years and stuff because they realized a lot of people were getting through the loopholes. So because of these loopholes, they've changed things. So like I said, I do have a lender who does specialize in 1099 employees. But at the same time, though, if you're trying to set yourself up for future, be able to pay and everything, again, create an LLC. With your LLC, get your money to go into your LLC, put yourself on an ADP or paycheck payroll, give yourself a salary, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, and then you will start to, get into the fact that you were a W-2 employee. And I think that is all the questions for today. So I'm going to come back because I got a topic for y'all and I want questions and feedback because some of y'all are going to like this and some of y'all not. Okay, my topic for today is let me get started. And what I mean by let me get started is I'm getting started on us. And when I say us, I mean Black people. And the reason why I want to get started on us as Black people is because I was holding a conversation. What happened is I ended up sending a text message, or the things you get where things tend to mess up. So the thing was about T-Mobile. T-Mobile, about them basically with T-Mobile, what ended up happening with them is that it was a thing going around saying that they were going to start, invading privacy, basically, by if you said certain thing, they was going to find you and all this other stuff and everything. So somebody was saying that, oh, it's time for us, to come together and, use our brains and basically, create our own cell phone system. Alexa, turn the volume to 1. So I said, that sounds good and it sounds true, but unfortunately, we don't have no unity in the Black community. I said we can't even get along in family situation. You have people who may be contributing in the household. You have people who are not contributing in the household. You have people who, what I'm saying, they justify their behavior in so many ways. But I said, how can we get along as a people when all the people who are smart get criticized, judged, laughed at because they're smart? People will laugh at an intelligent person and call them a nerd, and they'll glamorize a person because they acting like a thug. You know what I'm saying? People always want to show that they're the toughest, they're the baddest and stuff, but it doesn't prove anything. You know what I'm saying? Because most tough people and stuff trust and believe somebody got your number somewhere. And sometimes it's a front, because sometimes people act front. Sometimes people act tough because they're not really tough. You understand what I'm saying? Because of the fact that, they're trying to portray this image. But I'm like, at the same time, we as a people, we don't use our brains for the things that will progress us in life, to better us in life. When all the people who are smart here are doing things, they get laughed at, they get criticized. But what we use our brains for, unfortunately, is getting over on other people. We use our brains to be lazy. We don't want to work. We don't want to do nothing. You got so many people who are criminals and locked up that are very intelligent, but they don't use their brains to progress themselves and everything. Back in the day when you had Malcolm X and you had Martin Luther King, they were trying to do the betterment of all men, of all people, especially our people. But even with Malcolm X, he was killed by a Black man, because no matter who you are, no matter what you're doing in life, you always have haters. You have haters in your own family, unfortunately. And then when you're trying to do something, you're trying to progress, and if you're trying to do anything, you're going to have people hating on you more and everything, because you're doing something, because people are miserable. There's more people out here who are miserable than they are happy. So how can we come along and come together as a people, when I also said to this person that when we get together as a people, especially in a big arena or a crowded space, we start getting into fights? You know what I'm saying? You got Black people who fighting, you got people who are shooting each other, all because we can't get along in the same space. And part of the reason is because a lot of people have the crab in a barrel mentality, and a lot of people are still dealing with the after effects of slavery. Whether people realize it or not, we are still dealing with our great grandparents, trauma. We're still dealing with that because it was passed from generation to generation. And we as a people, we don't go get no therapy because we always feel like we don't want people in our business. I don't want nobody in my business. That's the excuse that people use. I don't want people in my business. But unfortunately, people are going to get in your business anyway, because it's going to show in your behavior, whether you realize it or not. We as a people, we act like we're so uncivilized. We go to places. You always know when it's Black people because we the loudest. We the one who act the wildest. We act the craziest. We act like, animals that have been released, and we just don't know how to act. That's how a lot of us act. And then the ones who do make it, the ones who get their money and stuff, they're not pulling anybody up. You know what I'm saying? And in a way, I don't blame them, because a lot of our people, like even in your own family, they don't, they just beg. They don't want to help themselves. See, it's different when you're trying to help yourself. When you're trying to help yourself to do something, people won't mind helping you. But you got so many people who are lazy, who are trying to get over, who are trying to see who they can benefit off. And part of the reason is because so many of us have grown up off of survival. We ain't grew up off of love. When segregation ended and families were together, then they started breaking up for all the wrong reasons and everything. People were trying to survive. That's why so many parents told you, go out there and get somebody who's doing this, who's doing that. You know what I'm saying? They ain't tell you nothing about be with somebody that, you all care about each other. They told you to be with somebody that's going to take care of you, or somebody that's going to do this or that, or somebody who's going to look after you, or somebody who got benefits and stuff. That's what a lot of parents told their kids. Now kids are grown with this misconception that somebody owed them something or think they deserve something when they don't deserve nothing because they don't do nothing. And unfortunately, our people are so messed up in so many ways, it's ridiculous. And what I mean by that is, even with Black businesses, for example, most Black businesses fail not because of support or it's not because of support or good business idea. Most Black businesses fail because so many people overcharge prices and underdeliver on customer service. You charging too much, but then you also got a bad attitude at the same time and act like somebody's supposed to do something for you. See, ain't nobody got to do nothing for you. I remember when I was growing up, and I'm in D.C. I grew up uptown in D.C. I remember on 14th Street, between 14th and Girard and 14th and Fairmont, it was a carryout that opened up. And this is when I was younger. They had some great ideas at the time. When I went in there, they had the Mike Tyson special, the Oprah Winfrey special, the Michael Jordan special. This was a restaurant, it was food, but the prices were ridiculous. When I saw what it would cost me for a hamburger, I went to the carryout. Not that I didn't want to support them, but at the time, the price they were charging for a hamburger, I could give me a steak and cheese, French fries, and a soda, all for the same price and walk away with change. But it's the misconception. And then a lot of times, people don't support your business because they're jealous and envy of you. And again, this goes back to our trauma as Black people. They're jealous and envy of you. They don't want to see you do well, or they want to see you do good, but just not better than them. That's a lot of people's mentality. See, they won't support you because of the fact that they don't want you to do better than them in some cases, or they think you're getting over. I got an aunt like that. And I'm giving this example of my aunt. My aunt called me, and this was years ago, about my other aunt. My other aunt was going to rent her home to that aunt. So my aunt called me and asked me, was it a good idea? When I said, hold up, my aunt is only charging you X amount of dollars. I said, yeah, that's a great idea. I said, for rent, they don't even charge that. My other aunt said, oh, no, she going to have 2 homes. I said, but where is she, you know what I'm saying? Because my aunt had got a lump sum of money. So I said, where's she supposed to go? You understand? Like, if she giving you her home at below rent for apartments, and you know what I'm saying, why are you concerned that she got to get another home? So my aunt got mad at me because basically it was the crab in the barrel mentality. See, you mad at my other aunt because she getting another home, and you talking about, oh no, she gonna have 2 homes, but yet you turned around and go rent a home from somebody that wasn't even your relative, which didn't make any sense. And again, this is the same trauma that we've been dealing with in our community for so long. Like, a lot of people don't even realize, you don't understand. You ever walk into a room, y'all ever walk into a room, then all of a sudden you can feel the eyes on you, you can feel the hate on you, all because you stepped into the room. I've seen that as well. I've seen one time when 2 guys was talking to a woman, and then another woman walked into the room, and then those guys turned their eyes, looked at the woman who walked into the room. So the woman that they were talking to looked at them, looked at where they was looking at, then said to them, oh, her feet are messed up. She don't even look all that good and stuff. The woman just walked in the room. I mean, come on now. Why are you even got something negative to say about her? Because we're so jealousy and envy of others because of what's lacking inside of us. See, we are so messed up as a people. We have a void inside of us that we don't even want to identify it. I talked about the 3 Ds a couple of weeks ago when I said most of us are on the defensive. We're on the defensive. We're in denial, and we deflect all the time. If somebody tells you the truth about yourself, you want to be on the defensive, or you want to deny it, or you want to deflect it and talk about them. But the truth of the matter is, we need other people to help us grow as a person. See, the problem, the reason why so many people are stuck at the age of 15 maturity-wise is because they never grown up, and they don't want to grow up. So many people don't want to grow up. They want to stay 15 maturity-wise. You got people 55 acting like they 15 because they never want to be corrected. See, we all need each other. That's the problem that we fail to realize. See, we're good individually, but we'll be great collectively. But we don't even think about that because we're so used to doing stuff our own. We feel like we're content. We made it. I got my nice house. I got my nice home. I don't care what goes on out there. You don't care until something happens. Then you want to care. Then you want somebody else to care. But the problem is our mindset is so messed up. It's destroying us. It's destroying us. We're 15% of the population, allegedly. And the reason why I say allegedly is because I think we're more than 15% of the population, but so many people don't do the census bureaus that come around every year that we don't get counted and everything. But we're only 15% of the population. But yet, every time you go into a family court, we're over 80% of the cases in the family court. We're over 80% of the people in jail. But yet, we're only 15% of the population. What is wrong with that? See, people don't want to identify that we have a problem going on. We have so many broken homes, broken families, and whatever reason why they broken, they can be fixed. But the problem is we lack mature conversation to even try to fix the problem. See, we want to focus on what's wrong with the other person, but we never focus on what's wrong with us, because everybody got something wrong with them, whether you want to identify it or not. Everybody got something wrong with them. Nobody is perfect out here. And nobody is perfect. Like, for example, when Michael Jordan played basketball, as great as a basketball player as he was, he didn't make every shot. He didn't make every shot, but he still was a great basketball player. And what I say by that is, no matter how good you are as a person, you ain't the best person that you could possibly be. You understand? None of us are. None of us perfect. That's why Jesus was the only person who was perfect on this earth, and they prosecuted him and they killed him. So again, if people start to be mature enough to identify that they're wrong in things and to also realize it, another thing that I want to talk about is even with our women. Our women get harassed so much and everything. The reason why I'm talking about this is because I have daughters. I have grown daughters, and I've had a couple of my daughters tell me about the harassment of a lot of these men, because men are so pathetic. And I'm going to say y'all pathetic. A lot of y'all can't take no. Y'all can't take rejection from a woman to the point where y'all harass women too much. Y'all act like y'all never seen a woman or a pretty woman with a nice face or a nice body. Y'all get so disrespectful towards them because your feelings are hurt, your egos are hurt and everything. That's something wrong with you, whether you realize it or not. You coming off as creepy, sex crazed. You could be a rapist. You know what I'm saying? You don't even understand that behavior, all because a woman told you no. You see a woman walking and she tell you she got a boyfriend or a husband, and you're like, oh, you can't have friends? And she's like, no. If I was with you, would you want me to have friends? And you want to cop an attitude and call her out of her name because you mad, because you feel rejected, because you might can't get a girl like that, or because you sex crazy. See, we got so many issues dealing with our community that we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to talk about a lot of things when it pertains to us. And another thing that I want to talk about is us as a people. Our spending is so messed up. I got a text message today, and I'm going to post it on my page when I get off. I got a client. A lady referred her sister to me. I sold her house 2 years ago. The client of mine texted me today that told me her sister had a stroke today. She had a stroke today, and she leaves behind 5 boys. 5 boys. And I don't know the reason of the stroke. I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to also tell you in 2023, I know 3 people who had heart attacks and died. They left their kids behind. They left their family. They just died. These were men, the one that I know about. I'm not saying that vaccination has anything to do with it, but if y'all been vaccinated, please order some black seed oil. Please order some black seed oil and start taking it every day. Because, see, what they're not talking about is a lot of people just dropping dead and people can't figure out what's going on. But a lot of these people who are doing that, they're having heart issues, they're having strokes. All these things are going on, and it's the after effect of the vaccination. They're not going to tell you that because they don't care about you. But see, I care about you. Order some black seed oil. Go Google black seed oil. Order it and start taking it, especially if you felt like you felt a certain type of way after you got vaccinated. Even if you haven't, start taking some black seed oil, because people are just dropping for no reason. And can't nobody seem to explain it. But if you think about it, it goes back to COVID and all them vaccinations. See, I didn't get vaccinated. And I didn't get vaccinated because, see, I'm always thinking, and my question was when they talked about the vaccination, what is the long-term effect? That's what I always ask. What is the long-term effect? What is going to happen in 5 to 10 years? They couldn't tell me that. I don't want to take it. If you can't tell me what's the long-term effect, because, see, me, whatever's meant for you, plain and simple. I tell my clients that, I tell people that whatever's meant for you is meant for you. But I'm telling y'all right now, order some black seed oil. Please start to take it immediately, because, again, this lady, 38 years old, had a stroke today, and she leaves behind 5 boys, y'all. 5 boys. I'm going to post her GoFundMe on my page because her sister's supposed to be sending it to me, but she had to go pick up all her kids from school today. To tell them what happened to their mother, and then she's taking them to the hospital. And I say this to say that us as Black people, we don't have our finances set up. We don't have no will set up. We don't have no life insurance set up for people. You know what I'm saying? And people, will spend more than $10,000 a year with traveling, eating out, buying clothes, but you won't invest in life insurance for yourself just in case something happened to you like this young lady, for your family, for yourself. With life insurance, you can use life insurance. You can pull from it while you're still alive. When COVID hit, there were so many people getting PPP loans, and which a lot of people got in trouble for that. But the people was pulling from PPP loans for when COVID hit. But if you had the right life insurance policy, which is an IUL life insurance policy, you could have pulled from that, and you wouldn't have been taxed on it, and you wouldn't have been penalized on it because it was already your money that you was investing in. But see, we're so uneducated and we don't have financial literacy that we don't even understand that once segregation let us go, we should have been thriving way further than where we are today. We're not nowhere where we could be or should be. But like I said before in the beginning, too many of us are content with where you are. You're content with going out every weekend. You're content with, I got my bills paid in my house. You're content with all this because you're selfish. Because the truth of the matter is, it's more selfish people in this earth and on this earth than there's unselfish people. And a lot of times, that's why the things happen to people. People don't even care about their own mother, their own parents. People always commend me for looking out for my mother. And the truth is, my mother didn't even raise me, y'all. My mother didn't even raise me. My father raised me. But the reason why I look out for my mother like I do is because I know without my mother, I wouldn't be here. And because of that, I love me. And if I love me, I love everything associated with me. But the problem is, some of you are so pathetic. Y'all get mad at your parents. You don't want to speak to them. Y'all act like y'all parents and stuff are y'all friends. Y'all hold grudges against your parents. You don't speak to them. You and then you wonder why you have bad luck in your life. Why stuff always happening to you? Because your heart not right. There's so many people whose heart's not right out here. It's ridiculous. And I say this to say that, we have to do better. But the reason why we ain't going to do better is because a lot of people going to listen to what I say, get off of this, go on about their life. They ain't going to think about doing better. So you can start better by yourself, number one. Number two is by your family. Number three is, whoever your God is, pray to your God to guide you on what to do. But until we start to deal with ourselves individually, we're going to always be messed up. We're going to always, when crowds get together, have fights, we killing each other at a rapid pace. We done killed more of us than slavery ever did, ever did. All because of what? Jealousy, envy, arguments, miscommunication over a woman. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's so many dumb reasons that this goes on and everything. But we don't even think about, we don't think about the long-term effect of things. All we think about is today, tonight. We don't think about tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. We don't care. See, we don't care until something happened to us. And that's the sad thing about life and the way that we operate. And then we got so many people who don't look out for their parents, who don't care. All you care about is what your parents can do for you. You don't look out for your family members. You don't even take care of your kids. A lot of you got poor hygiene and stuff. I speak with someone yesterday, and it was a post that was on social media, and a post said basically that when your spouse stops kissing you, that's when the love is gone. And a lady commented, "I don't kiss my husband because his breath stinks." So why, what's the problem? And then I heard another lady say, "Oh yeah, a lot of men have bad hygiene." Well, damn, I ain't know that because you know what I'm saying? I brush my teeth several times a day. And at the same time, I feel like my teeth dirty. But the problem that I'm saying is so many of y'all don't even care about yourself. And that's the problem. I wish we can get rid of all the people who don't care about themselves, and then all the people who care about themselves got together, and collectively we put our minds together, mastermind on progressing us. Because there's no progression, y'all. We regressing. We're going backwards. We're not going forward. We were going forward at one point, but we're going backwards. And look at this 2024. Where are we going to be at in 2034, 10 years from now? What's the population going to be of us then? 10%? What's it going to be? We're gonna have to make a change if we really want change, y'all. And I also recommend therapy, whether you realize it or not. So many of us need therapy, and we don't even realize it, y'all. Therapy opens up so much to stuff that you can never possibly imagine. It opens door that you don't even think about. You think you got everything figured out? No, you don't. No, you don't. I can guarantee you don't. It's always someone that can help you get better than where you are right now. Always somebody. Even if somebody came and gave you $10,000, that's helping you better your situation. It's always someone can help you be a better person. And it starts with therapy. It starts with prayer. It starts with your family. It starts with you, really. It's always someone that can help you. But I just wanted to talk about us as a Black people because we are terrible. We can do better. We should do better. But part of the reason we don't do better is because we're so judgmental of others. We're so quick to criticize others that we're not paying attention to ourselves. We want to talk about everybody else. We want to talk about that person, this person, and everybody else. Takes it off us. Makes us feel good to talk negative about other people. That ain't helping you grow as a person. It give you a temporary laugh if that's what it does, but it's not helping you become a better person. See, we need to become better people, period. Because truth be told, as human beings, you know what I'm saying, regardless of our skin colors, regardless of where we come from, we all bleed red. You know, we all got a butthole, that stink when you use it. We all go to the bathroom. We all need to eat to live. So we're all human. We just came into this world differently. And then our mindset has developed to whatever it has developed to. But until we as a people really start to look at us, you ever have kids that you're disappointed in or somebody's let you down? Sometimes I feel like God just look at us on earth and we just let him down so much. Not just, ain't got nothing to do with race. It's just us as a people. We terrible. We're so selfish that, to be truthful, I don't know if it's any help for a lot of us, to be honest with you, but to be true, it's never too late for anything. So I'm optimistic. So the only thing that I ask you as a people is to take a self-evaluation of yourself. Take a self-evaluation of yourself. Look at you. Look at how you can improve. What can you do better for yourself, you know, for your family? And when I say family, I mean your mother, your father, your kids. Stop holding grudges. Stop holding grudges against people because people can die tomorrow, y'all, or today. Like, unfortunately, I got that news of my client's sister, and the sister is the one who referred my client to me, passed away today because of a stroke. And she was 38, leaves behind 5 boys. You can have a stroke, a heart attack, get hit by a car. Anything can happen, y'all, to any of us. So tell your loved ones that you love them. Try to become a better person. Pray to God. Try to improve on everything from your self-esteem to the men stop harassing women because they telling you no, to the women stop critiquing other women because you feel like, oh, she thinks she all that, whether because she got a big butt or she cute or whatever. No, work on you. Don't matter. Everything is always on you, not them. When you run a race, it's you. How well you do. First place is first place. Records are made to be broken, but how well did you do? Every time people run races, records don't break all the time. How well did you do? So I just wanted to say that we need to get ourselves together as a people. We need to really love each other, stop talking about each other. We need to focus that energy on progressing ourselves, our life, to be better, to do better, to want better, to help ourselves grow. We need to stop hating on each other. For what? That's an internal issue within you. If you hating on others, they ain't did nothing to you, that's an internal problem. That means something wrong with you. If you are overly sexed and perverted, that's an internal problem. So if you see a woman and she got a big butt or cute face and she tells you no and you getting all upset, that's an issue with you. And you don't even realize it. But again, there's so many haters in the world that the haters don't want to hear the truth. You understand? You don't want to hear the truth. But again, like I said before, a lot of times what's going on or what's going wrong in our life has a lot to do with who we are as a person. See, your heart not right. And when you get your heart right, things will start to get right. But unfortunately, so many people have selfish hearts out here and they don't care. But I just wanted to share that with you. And as far as your feelings, I don't care. I prayed to God that, you know what I'm saying, somebody got the message about us as a people being better, because we can be better. We can do better. You got to want to do better. You got to want it. You got to want it, y'all. And the thing is, though, is, you know what I'm saying? So I appreciate y'all for that. Let me do my closeout. Love you too, cuz. My cousin Mish is on Instagram. She told me. All right, let me do my recap. I'll be right back. All right, y'all. My recap is foreclosures today are not like they were yesterday. Foreclosures varies depending on the zip code you in. Foreclosures are going to be anywhere from 70 to 80% of the home values in your zip code in most cases. So if your zip code has a home value of homes averaging $1 million, that means the foreclosure is going to be somewhat around 800,000, sometimes a little bit more, just depending on the condition of the property. Please keep that in mind, because foreclosure does not mean cheap. It just means cheaper in that zip code. And then also, I answered questions in which you know, I talked about people who, you know, looking to buy. Two of them on there. One is a first-time home buyer. Can they reap the benefits? If they do it together, no. But if at the same time, the other person, if the person was a previous homeowner, they can't. If it's been less than 3 years, no. But if the other person is more than 3 years, yes. And then I close my show out with us as Black people. We need to get our shit together. Excuse my language. We need to get it together, y'all. We are pathetic. And I hate to say it. And the problem is people going to listen to what I say and don't agree with me, but that comes from the lack of accountability, because that's another thing we don't do. We don't take accountability for our actions. We always deflect it and deny and on the defensive. We don't want to look at the truth of what it is, but the truth shall set you free, and the truth is what helps you grow and become a better person. That's why people are stuck in their immaturity. That's why you be like, oh, well, I wish they grow up. People ain't growing up because they stuck. They stuck wherever they was traumatized at. They stuck and they don't want to grow. But therapy helps us all, y'all. So until we seek help to become better, we ain't going nowhere. And it's not until something happens, then you're going to want people to help you or to do something. But a lot of times by then, it's too late. Nobody want to help you then. You know, that's just like with God. God don't only want you to talk to him when something go bad. He wants you to talk to him when you're doing good and great. He wants you to always talk to him. But people don't talk to him. They don't cry out to God until they're in tragic or something terrible. Something's happening to them. Then they want to reach out to God. No, reach out to God when you're doing good. And I just want to thank you all. Please follow me on all my social media platforms. You know, you can always get me on DamonTheAgent.com as well. And I thank you all for joining me today. Happy New Year. Also, I'm sorry. Happy New Year again. Welcome to 2024. And I shall see you all next week. Same time, same station.